Today we are going to solve two-step inequalities. So it'll be very similar to solving two-step equations, and we're also going to see some with the distributive property. So we're just going to start with some examples. Solve the inequality. This is again very similar to solving an equation. You always undo addition and subtraction first, and then you undo multiplication or division. So in number 1 we have 3d plus 6 is greater than 12, so we are going to subtract 6 from both sides. Bring down the 3d. We have 3d is greater than 6, and now we're going to divide by 3. We are not dividing by a negative, so we don't have to worry about flipping the symbol, and we get d is greater than 2. I'm not asking you to graph, and I can't remember off the top of my head. I think on your homework we maybe don't graph all of them either. We're just solving them at this point. So d is greater than 2. You could check your solution by picking a number larger than 2. So I'm saying that all of the answers greater than 2 will work. So if I pick a number like 10, that's greater than 2, and I plug a 10 in for the variable, 3 times 10 would be 30, 30 plus 6 is 36, and 36 is greater than 12, so I'm going back into the original problem. That's just a quick way to check to make sure you're right. Number 2, we have 6 is greater than or equal to 2x minus 4. So again, we're going to start over here. We're going to add 4 to both sides. Remember, you're trying to isolate the variable, get the variable by itself. So 10 is greater than or equal to 2x. Now we're going to divide both sides by 2. We get 5 is greater than or equal to x. Remember though, we always want our variable on the left hand side, so we're going to just flip the whole thing around and say x is less than or equal to 5. 3 is our example with the distributive property. So remember, when you're solving an inequality with a distributive property, you want to distribute first. So our first step is going to be multiplying everything inside the parentheses times 4. So that's 4x plus 20 is less than 8. I'm going to subtract 20 from both sides. Bring down the 4x, bring down the inequality symbol. 8 minus 20 is negative 12. Divide both sides by 4, and we get x is less than negative 3. Again, we were not dividing by a negative number. That 4 is positive, so we don't have to flip our symbol. Last example is a tricky one. If you want to try to pause the video and see if you can get this one right on your own, feel free to do that, and then you can check with my work. But we're going to distribute first. Be very careful here with this subtraction symbol. That's going to change the sign inside. It's going to change the sign of that 7. So negative 3 times n is negative 3n. Remember that I treat that 7 as being negative because of the subtraction sign. So negative 3 times negative 7 is a positive 21, so we get plus 21. We're going to then subtract 21 from both sides, undoing the addition first. We get negative 3 is greater than negative 3n. This is where this gets a little tricky. So divide both sides by negative 3. So there's the division by a negative. That's immediately going to make me change my sign, or flip my symbol from greater than to less than. Then I just do the solving just like you normally would. Negative 3 divided by negative 3 is 1. Those three negative 3's cancel, and we get n. So we have 1 is less than n. And again, we need to rewrite it so that the variable is on the left. So our answer becomes n is greater than 1. So if you compare that inequality in our answer to the inequality in the problem, it almost looks like we never flipped, but we actually flipped twice. We flipped the first time for dividing by a negative, and we flipped again when we rewrote the inequality. And that's it as far as examples go. So again, these are two-step inequalities. You will see some with the distributive property when we work on the worksheet in class.